All right, everyone. Welcome to the HawgBeat Hoops post-game show. I'm Jackson Collier, JC Hoops, joined as always by my co-host and managing editor over at HawgBeat.com, Riley McFerrin. Uh, that was a brutal game. That was an embarrassing excuse for a college basketball game, honestly. Uh, the crowd, I don't think the crowd was great from the tip, but I think Ole Miss fans even started leaving earlier, got really quiet later on just because there was no fight, there was no anything from Arkansas. Trailed by 12 at halftime, I think, ended up losing by 26, was almost 30 if it weren't for a last second three or last possession three from Joseph Pinion. Just an abysmal performance. I don't really know what to make of this team at this point, honestly. We've come on here post game after every game. We talk about the negatives, talk about what can go right, what can change moving forward. But at this point of the season, they're 19 games in, they're 10-9, they're 1-5 in the SEC. They're averaging losing conference games by over 20 points a game. So it really has just become like, where do we go from here? Like, what even is the point? Effectively, Arkansas's at-large hopes for the NCAA tournament are destroyed. They're non-existent after tonight's loss. So the only hope for any sort of meaningful postseason is the SEC tournament, which Arkansas has only won once. But yeah, I guess that's my opening ramble. Riley, what are your takeaways?
Jackson, pretty much the exact same as you. This Arkansas team, you know, we've talked about it. They get off to a slow start pretty often under Musselman, but this year just feels different. I mean, this team is bad. Usually whenever you have a bad team, there might be, like one specific reason. Maybe they're really good offensively, but poor defensively. This team is just bad all the way around. You can point to offense, defense, everything in between. It's just lackadaisical, lack of effort. Speaking of a lack of effort, actually, after the loss to South Carolina earlier this week, Jeremiah Davenport was interviewing after the game, and he even said that the loss was due to a lack of effort from the entire Arkansas roster. When asked about why there was a lack of effort, he said, "That's a good question. I don't know." So that kind of puts it into a frame of reference that this team, they just don't. I don't know if they don't know how to fight or if they just don't care to. I don't know what it is, but this team, like you said, NCAA tournament, yeah, you can pretty much throw that out the window. I'm not sure that, they even have what it takes to make the NIT. Not that they would accept, a bid if they are invited anyway. This Arkansas team, and oh, yeah, by the way, you welcome a top 10 Kentucky team this Saturday in front of a national audience on the first ever college game day in Bud Walton Arena. Should be an absolute blast, Jackson.
Yeah, no, I love that Arkansas finally gets Kentucky, or finally gets game day coming. It's a Kentucky game, and it is what it is. Now the issue becomes, typically Bud Walton is a great crowd, even when the team is struggling. But you run the risk now where at least the vibe or the thinking on social media is just pure apathy. Um,
Mm.
how is that going to affect the crowd Saturday? College game day might attract some people who otherwise wouldn't go. Kentucky might still attract some people, but I just don't think there are going to be as many common fans or, your average fans who typically go to the game. I don't think they'll be there Saturday. I'm really interested to see what the crowd is like after another really bad performance. Yeah, it's really weird because, like, in college football, game day waits and announces after the weekend results, and then in basketball, they did it before. And Arkansas just they had a bad loss Saturday, had another bad loss Tuesday or tonight, and then Kentucky comes in, and it's just it's embarrassing, honestly, at this point because now you're having national pundits, you're having SEC writers, you're having writers from other fan base, you're having bracketologists who are all not accustomed to Arkansas being at this level, yet they're talking about Arkansas being at this level because it's so newsworthy right now. It's like Arkansas is so bad that everyone has to talk about it because it hasn't been the case for, I guess, 3 or 4 years now. which I guess it's good that it hasn't been the case, and there has been so much more relevancy. But by the same token, torpedoing like this, you run the risk of maybe I don't want to say ruining, but jeopardizing all the progress that has been made so far.
Yeah, I mean, a season like this with the trajectory that they're on, it definitely doesn't help, your case, especially for, an Eric Musselman philosophy of, bringing in multiple transfers that want to come in and win. I mean, you're probably going to have a lot of guys to replace after this season. And I mean, yeah, coming into this year, everybody thought that this Arkansas team was going to be really good, including me. I thought this team was going to be for sure a tournament team, not even a question on that. And to have those chances dashed before the 20 game mark, if you had told me that before the year, I would not have believed you. I don't want to keep just saying Arkansas is bad. Everybody kind of knows that now. I do want to look something that kind of surprises me just from Musselman's reputation of playing him. It finally kind of happened today. Devo Davis only played, according to the official depth chart, he played 7.5 minutes against Ole Miss tonight. I mean, and just in general, tonight's starting lineup was weird. You had Shamon Mark, who apparently has migraines, out tonight. Not, you can't use that as an excuse, even though he is by far your best player, go-to scorer. He was out tonight. It wouldn't have mattered. Arkansas still would have lost by plenty, I'm sure. Debo, he's supposed to be a leader, supposed to, make things go for this team. Barely played tonight. Joseph Pinion comes in, has 10 points, but I mean, you can tell when he's out there. I don't want to hate on Joseph Pinion. He comes here, he puts in effort, but whenever you're playing Joseph Pinion early in the game, it's probably not really a good thing. Just all around, not good play. Trevin Brazil continues to look shaky. It's just you want him to play like a first round NBA draft pick, and he isn't doing it. So just all around bad performance on top of bad performance by this roster. I do want to say thank you to all the people watching and commenting. If you guys have any questions, be sure to drop them below and we will answer them, either throughout the show or at the end. But yeah, I mean, I completely agree. This team isn't good, Jackson. I don't really know what else to say at this point.
Yeah, and I guess one of the biggest concerns for me, it's not just the fact that they're losing by so much. It's the lack of competitive fiber. Musselman has mentioned that exact phrase multiple times. Lack of competitive fiber. Um, there's no toughness. Guys
Mhm.
are taking hits. They're not trying to be physical. And I criticized this team early on in being a little too, I don't know, aggressive and then picking up some flagrant fouls. They're like second in the country in flagrant fouls. There's a difference between playing tough and playing dumb. You don't want to pick up dumb flagrant fouls. You don't want to pick up stupid techs, anything like that. You can play physical and not be dumb. There's a complete difference between the two. And I think they've gone away from being the dumb team that got a lot of techs and flagrants, but they've lost any edge that they had at all, and they're not even playing physical at all. And you pair that with no really competitiveness, no sense of urgency, no energy, and you get the product that we've seen now for however many games in a row. I mean, outside of the first 16 minutes of the Texas A&M game, it's really been the same team the whole way through.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. This game, it started out really, really poorly, and you're like, okay, here we go again, another double-digit loss. And then all of a sudden, Arkansas got it down to, I think it was like a 6 point deficit, 29-23, something like that. They fought for a while there. They were playing, solid defense, got themselves back in the game. And then Ole Miss just, I think maybe after a timeout, went on a quick run. And then once Arkansas got down by 10 to 15 again, they just completely folded, gave up. And that's kind of been the case in conference play up to this point. I think every single one of their conference losses has been by double digits. So it's, that's just how the team is at this point. I don't really know what you can point to fix it. Musselman played, I think it was 9 different players by the first media timeout.
Yep.
So he doesn't really know who he wants to play, who's going to fight on any given night. The entire team's disjointed. It's just all around bad. And I actually, let's see, my only question by Uncle Truth here, I'm going to show this question. Do you think Brazil will be back next year? Um, Personally, no, I don't think so. That's just my opinion. I'm not going to act like I'm a NBA draft analyst or anything. I don't know if maybe you have a better idea on that, Jackson, but I would think probably not. He might just want to call it an Arkansas career.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, I don't know what benefit he would have coming back at this point. He came back obviously last year coming off the ACL. If he didn't have the ACL injury, he would have been gone after last year. Needed to come back
Mm.
and show some things, and I don't really see any way he would come back. I have a few questions. Let's see. I'll show this one. Um, bu- 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 How do I go? Oh, okay. From HW question: why did anyone think this team would be good? We had an NBA roster last year, finished 10th in the conference. Very fair point. I guess the thinking was that NBA roster was without two of the cornerstones to the offense for pretty much almost the entire year. So I think people were mainly hopeful, even though those are, so you don't have Brazil for the second half of the year and you finally get Nick Smith late. Um, but even without those two pieces, you still had Anthony Black, still have Ricky Council. Devo was playing well last year. Jordan Walsh still on that team. So I guess you can still look at that and be like, well, that team should have been better. I'm in that camp that I think the team should have been better, regardless of the injuries to Brazil and Nick Smith. But I think there's a large portion of the fan base who were like, well, that's not necessarily fair. Those were the two cornerstone pieces to the offense, to the team, and they're without them. They still made the Sweet 16 run. So I guess people kind of took that and had hope, or wanted to say, man, Musselman really, he really is one of the top coaches in the game, and he can really work magic with anything. You see, he worked magic with a limited roster. So you turn around and you build this roster. You add a really gifted role player like Tremont Mark from a winning program like Houston. And then the guys, it seemed like Musselman took a different approach. The guys that they added
Mhm.
were scoring guards, loaded up on guards, mainly scoring guards after last year. The offense struggled and struggled to shoot. He added shooters, he added scoring guards, but it seems like he might have gone overboard by a lot. Uh, there's no defense, and even the shooting and scoring hadn't been there. The offense has been atrocious. I don't know how much of that is scheme compared to anything else. I think it's mainly scheme right now. I think the offensive scheme right now is just awful. But all that's to say, I thought on paper, I think most people thought the transfer class was good. You bring in two freshmen and you're returning. It was the most returners that Musselman has had at Arkansas. They brought back 5 players. So I think all those factors coming together, people thought, this team can be pretty good. This might be a special team. I think the biggest issue is shots aren't falling, offensive scheme is bad, personalities are clashing, and I don't think the players are the right fit personality wise or even scheme wise.
Yeah, I mean, for me, my take on that was, defense has always been something successful under Musselman. Like he's always driven that home, and so there, like you said, there was kind of a difference in approach this offseason. He went for that more offensive, like I want to score points kind of thing. Because Arkansas hasn't been like an elite offensive scorer for Musselman while he's been here, and so I just kind of figured that yeah, you're going for more offensive guys, but because Musselman has that reputation of defense, he can still get his guys to buy in and continue to play hard on the defensive side while maintaining their offensive prowess. But that just hasn't happened, and so that's why Arkansas is struggling right now. I do see a question here. There were many injuries this game too. Brazil and Battle might not be back for Kentucky. Thoughts? I correct me if I'm wrong. Did Battle get hurt?
Battle came back by the end of the game.
Okay.
Don't know any updates on Brazil at all. He just injured his knee, I guess, what the broadcast said, and he didn't come back in the second half. And then Tremont Mark is dealing with migraines, so we'll see on both
Mhm.
of those guys. But I don't have any idea on either of those. But Battle was back out there in the second half.
Yeah, so I actually do have at least a little bit of an update on Brazil from the Musselman press conference. Muss said with his knee had soreness since Monday's live practice, and he just wasn't able to go in the second. So probably, Arkansas was already losing by, a pretty solid amount. Didn't want to risk anything. Obviously Brazil has a history of injuries there, so As far as Mark goes, I think Musselman said he hasn't practiced all week, so you're probably not. I mean, there's a few days in between now and the Kentucky game, but we'll see on that. Musselman doesn't really give a lot away with injuries, so we probably won't know until the game, if we're being honest. Jackson, I don't know. Do we have any more questions about anybody? Do you have
Oh
any?
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, we do.
Perfect.
Can you not see all the messages? Because mine's been blowing up. I don't know if it changes based
I
on
I do see
team.
them, but there's honestly so many.
Oh yeah. So I
It's
got
hard to
one.
keep
Here's
up.
from Britt Crawford. What do you think it would take for them to turn this team around? A
Mm,
lot. I think we've gone over
yeah.
that in different post game press conferences. I guess if you're looking at a very fundamental look at this team, what have Eric Musselman teams been really good at? They've been good at defending and forcing turnovers and scoring in transition. This team has done none of that. So maybe focus on playing your perimeter defenders. Leighton Blocker, I thought played fantastic tonight, especially in the
Hmm.
first half. But you look at his box. Let's see how many minutes did he finish with? He only played 18 minutes. I think he played like 8 or 9 maybe in the first half. What did he play in the first half? Actually, I have it right here. 9 minutes in the first half, 9 minutes in the second half. And I thought he was great. But I think if you're wanting to go that route of playing your better on-ball defenders, you need to have Leighton Blocker on the floor. And I think regardless of what you want to accomplish, you need to have Leighton Blocker on the floor at this point. He was creating for the offense when other guys weren't. I mean, he was assisting, he was fighting, he got rebounds too. I think he had an offensive rebound, had a block. Like he was doing all the right things. He was running the offense, what offense there is to run. I'm not a fan of the offense that they're running at all right now. I think the offense right now is terrible. It's typically what they're doing is like a standard ball screen action, then go to ISO, and then create motion. But there is no motion, and they just shove a guy in the corner on the weak side, and it just doesn't make any sense with what they're trying to accomplish. Seems like they went and got a bunch of guys who are good in ISO situations who are having trouble going ISO. So I just don't know. The offense is bad. The scheme is bad. The defenders are not playing good defense. I don't know how much of that is talent because some of it seems to be scheme too, because guys are just opening their hips to the baseline, to their defender, and all that sort of stuff. So it's just a ton of issues, and I don't even know how you go about fixing it, honestly. The first thing is effort, but if you're talking anything schematically, it might have to be a complete overhaul.
Yeah, I think I don't even want to try to attempt this question because I'm not a huge basketball knowledgeable guy, but from my perspective, I don't really think they can turn it around. I mean, I know Musselman has done that before, not every season here, but he has shown the ability to turn a team around. But I just think this team is honestly probably too far gone. Something isn't clicking. I don't know what it is. I think a lot of it is effort, but I mean, I know some players are showing effort. Jeremiah Davenport, whenever he's out there, he does play hard. Leighton Blocker, I think he needs to start going forward. Honestly, I mean, the dude comes in, he's scrappy. He might not fill it up from a points perspective. He was 0 of 5 today, including two monster stuffs by Jamarian Sharp. I think he's like 7'3", super athletic, or not
I think
athletic,
they
but super
listed him as
tall.
7'5".
7'5", yeah. I mean, just ridiculous. He got stuff under the rim a couple times, but he plays hard. He's a defensive-minded guy. He did show that he can run the offense. I think he had 3 assists in like the first 4 minutes that he came in, or
Yeah.
something crazy like that.
Well, and two,
He's
he's
good.
attacking the basket, and that's what a
Yeah,
lot of guys weren't doing and haven't done, is attacking the basket. It's just random passing on the perimeter with no motion, no anything, and then try to go ISO and get a mid-range jump shot, and it's just not good offense.
yeah. I mean, I completely agree. Let's see. Do we have any other good questions? Let's see. See any good ones, Jackson?
Oh, let me scroll. A lot of interaction tonight. Appreciate you guys for jumping in the chat
Yeah,
and all that sort of stuff.
absolutely. You
Let's
guys
see
are
if
great.
there's any comments real quick that we can read out. Mello, we don't have scoring guards. We have guards who are supposed to be scoring guards playing and not scoring well. That is an
I
issue.
mean, fair. Yeah, that's a fair point.
Let's see. Yeah, Melo, we also scored a lot more points last year. I mean, this offense has been bad. 51 points tonight, and I think they're averaging. I don't know the exact number, but it's got to be like 60 or so points and 65 points a game in conference play, and it's just not good offense. It's crazy. Um, this is the worst calendar year in Razorback sports that I can remember, starting from the football season last year, and it's a lot of it has to do with the offense just being so abysmal for both teams. Gosh, it's just miserable. It's miserable to watch, honestly.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. I hadn't even thought about that. The football team, you know, going into the year for the football team, I wasn't expecting some amazing year, but man, that offense was just flat out awful. And then you're coming into this season, you're expecting a lot from the offense. You're probably expecting that to be the main reason the Hogs win games, and they just fall flat on their face every single time. Besides a few outings here and there, maybe because of a Tremont Mark career night or Caleb Battle, who, by the way, Caleb Battle has not been the same guy since the non-conference, really early in the year, scoring 20 points and shooting a bunch of free throws. Yeah, this team hasn't done anything offensively. Keon Mennefield, I mean, he dropped a career high like 35 points against, to be fair, not an SEC team. I think it was UNC Wilmington. But that UNC
Mm.
Wilmington team beat Kentucky, so it's not like they were just terrible. And he hasn't really shown up in conference play. That might be due to a lack of physicality. I'm not sure, he is on the smaller side, but I mean, yeah, there are a lot of offensive question marks and just about zero answers at this point in the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Devo, what's happened to his defense? What happened to his fire? We were talking about an all SEC defender. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I try not to talk too bad about the players individually, just because I don't like to. I can talk as much about team generally not doing good things or like backcourt generally not doing good things, but uh, Devo, it seems, has been a little checked out. The effort hadn't been there from him, and even on top of the effort, though, it seems like some of the things he typically did really well last year, especially with his on-ball defense. Um, he's like just regressed fundamentally. So like I mentioned earlier about opening up the hips a little bit, he'll like try to cheat playing on ball defense and try to force a guy one way, but like super early, or he'll try to play the screen before the screener is even there to set it. And every time he does that, uh, he gets beat off the dribble because of it. There have been times he's gotten beat on easy backdoor cuts because he's kind of cheating up on the weak side a little bit too much. And it's just fundamental stuff. Or he doesn't keep his body between the ball and the man, so he loses his man, or he turns his head and he just gets backdoor. Um, I don't know. It's not the Devo that we've seen the previous other years. So I don't know what's going on. I can just look at the film and see that he's just not the same, and it's showing up fundamentally and effort even, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. And I actually have a comment here. Debo hasn't played defense since the Hawks beat Kansas last year. I mean, yeah, that kind of talks about the preseason expectations with this team. You watch Debo drop, what was it, like 25 points, something crazy against Kansas to make that comeback to advance to the Sweet 16. And, you're kind of thinking, okay, Musselman has developed, you think of JD Note. Like JD Note came in, developed under Musselman, had a huge final season here. Maybe you didn't expect all of that out of Devo, but you expected a jump out of him, be able to lead this team and play well. But I mean, again, 7.5 minutes in the middle of conference play, not really a good sign. I agree. He feels like he's checked out, just not really playing up to the same standard that he's shown in the past. And I think that's just kind of a microcosm of this team as a whole. Just all the way, all around, not very good. And I mean, yeah, that's just kind of where they're at right now.
Yeah, and early on, it seemed like Devo was accepting his new role. He'd get I think he had a couple of
Hmm.
performances where, and one that stood out in particular, he's like 5 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 0 turnovers. Wasn't taking a ton of shots. He was playing an efficient role. He was rebounding the ball and helping the team win and playing decent defense at that point. And so I thought when he was playing that and when he bought into that, it was like, okay, this is a new Devo. It's another adaptable Devo moment where he doesn't have to be the go-to scorer. He can be a facilitator and all this sort of stuff. But that went out the window, and yeah, just hasn't been the same. I don't know. But I don't see any other questions right now. There's still some comments flowing, but I think we're going to end it here. Got a good 25 minutes going with y'all on a just terrible basketball performance tonight. It's late over here in the Eastern time zone. It's 11:40 my time. I got to get to bed, but appreciate all of you for tuning in with us as always. Really appreciate the support, the community that we've grown here, and the interactions that we get. Love just talking basketball with y'all, and hopefully next time, post Kentucky, there'll be a win, and y'all have more fun topics for us to discuss.
Yeah, I'm not holding my breath there. I do want to quickly say before we hop off here, because I haven't done it yet, shout out to our sponsor. You see them in the top right-hand corner, Bet Saracen. If you guys have any bets you want to place, whether it be Arkansas related or not, I know the NFL playoffs are going on right now. Be sure to do it on Bet Saracen. They're the best in the business in the state of Arkansas. Bet with Bet Saracen. Like Jackson said, thank you all for watching. You guys are great. Hopefully we have better news or better things to talk about after the Kentucky game this Saturday.